Daniel Carter had seen many strange things since humanity first reached the stars. He had walked on moons made of ice. He had watched twin suns set over alien oceans, but nothing had prepared him for the Galactic Council chamber. The room was massive. It stretched upward like a cathedral with seats carved into the walls in a spiral pattern. Each seat held a representative from a different species. Some had scales, some had feathers, some had bodies that Daniel could not even describe. 42 species sat in judgment, and all of them were looking at him. Daniel stood alone on a platform in the center of the chamber. He wore the simple gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. He was not a tall man, and he was not young anymore. His hair had turned gray at the temples, and his face showed the lines of someone who had spent years carrying heavy burdens. But his eyes were steady, and his voice did not shake when he spoke. "I am here as you requested," Daniel said. "Earth is honored by the Council's invitation." The Grand Arbiter leaned forward in his seat at the highest point of the chamber. He was a creature of angles and shadows, with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that glowed with pale blue light. When he spoke, his voice echoed through the chamber like thunder in a canyon. Ambassador Carter said, "Humanity is new to the stars. You have been a spacefaring species for only 87 of your years. In that time you have spread to 12 worlds. You have built ships. You have made contact with other species. This is notable." Daniel nodded, but said nothing. He had learned that silence was often the response when dealing with beings who measured their lives in centuries. "The Galactic Council has watched your progress," continued. "We have studied your world, your resources, your capabilities, your people." He paused, and something like a smile crossed his angular face. "We have completed our assessment." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Daniel noticed that many of the alien representatives were not looking at him anymore. They were looking away, as if they did not want to witness what was about to happen. "What assessment?" Daniel asked. "All species within Council space must contribute to the greater order," said. "This is not a request. It is the foundation upon which galactic civilization rests. The strong protect the weak, the wealthy support the poor, and all species pay tribute to the Council." Daniel felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. Tribute. "Your world has been evaluated," said. "Earth is rich in minerals, in water, in biological diversity. Your people are clever and adaptable. Therefore, the Council has determined that humanity will contribute 30% of its mineral output to the common treasury. Additionally, you will provide 10,000 human workers each year to serve in Council facilities across the galaxy." The chamber was silent. Daniel could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. "You want our resources," Daniel said slowly, "and our people." "We require them," corrected. "This is not negotiable. Every species in this chamber has accepted the same terms. It is the price of peace, the price of protection, the price of being part of something greater than yourself." Daniel looked around the chamber. He saw the representatives of 42 species, and now he understood why they had looked away. They had all stood where he was standing. They had all heard the same demands, and they had all submitted. A creature with silver scales and sad eyes met Daniel's gaze for just a moment. The creature shook its head slowly, almost imperceptibly. A warning. "Do not fight this. You cannot win." "What happens if we refuse?" Daniel asked. Made a sound that might have been laughter. "No species has ever refused, Ambassador. The Council fleet numbers in the thousands. We have weapons that could crack your world like an egg. We have been maintaining order in this galaxy for 11,000 years. Your species learned to use fire 100,000 years ago. You are children. Clever children, perhaps, but children nonetheless." Counselor, a reptilian creature with crimson scales and golden eyes, leaned forward eagerly. "The humans should be grateful," he hissed. "Many species are assessed at much higher rates. 30% is generous. We are offering them protection, stability, a place in galactic civilization. What more could they want?" Freedom, Daniel said quietly. The word hung in the air like smoke. Several alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. His glowing eyes narrowed. Freedom is an illusion, Ambassador. Order is real. Security is real. The tribute system has maintained peace for thousands of years. You will comply or you will be compelled to comply. Those are your only options. Daniel took a deep breath. He thought about Earth. He thought about the billions of people going about their lives, unaware that their future was being decided in this chamber. He thought about his daughter, who had just started school. He thought about what kind of galaxy he wanted her to grow up in. I need to consult with my government, Daniel said. This decision is too important for one person to make. Nodded slowly. This is acceptable. You have 72 standard hours to present your formal response, but understand this, Ambassador. The outcome is not in doubt. Every species believes they are special. Every species believes they are different. And every species eventually accepts the truth. You will pay tribute. The only question is whether you will do so willingly or whether we must teach you obedience. Daniel turned and walked out of the chamber. He could feel hundreds of alien eyes on his back. Some looked at him with pity, some with curiosity, a few perhaps with something like hope. As he boarded his shuttle, Daniel sent a single encrypted message to Earth. It contained only 4 words. We need to talk. The journey home took 6 hours. Daniel spent every minute thinking about what he would say to his leaders. How do you tell your people that the galaxy wants to enslave them? How do you explain that everything humanity had worked for, every achievement, every dream was about to be taken away? But as the blue marble of Earth grew larger in his viewport, Daniel felt something else beneath the fear and the anger. He felt a spark of defiance. Humanity had faced impossible odds before. They had survived ice ages and plagues and wars that nearly ended everything. They had clawed their way out of the mud and reached for the stars. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe the Council was right and humanity would bow like every other species. But Daniel did not think so. He had spent his whole life studying humans, representing them, believing in them. And if there was one thing he knew for certain, it was this. Humans did not kneel easily. The United Nations Emergency Assembly had never seen anything like this. Every seat was filled. Every screen showed the faces of world leaders from every nation on Earth. The room hummed with tension and fear, and something else that Daniel could not quite name. Secretary General Sam Mitchell stood at the podium. He was a calm man, the kind of person who never raised his voice even when everything was falling apart. But today, even Sam looked shaken. Ambassador Carter has returned from the Galactic Council with news, Sam said. I will let him explain, but I must warn you, what you are about to hear will change everything. Daniel walked to the podium. He looked out at the faces of humanity's leaders, presidents and prime ministers, generals and scientists, the people who held the future of the human race in their hands. 3 days ago, I was summoned to the Galactic Council, Daniel began. They told me that humanity has been assessed. They want 30% of our mineral production. They want 10,000 of our people every year to work in their facilities. They call it tribute. I call it slavery. The room erupted. Voices shouted over each other. Some demanded more information. Some demanded action. Some simply demanded to know how this could be happening. Sam raised his hand, and slowly the room fell quiet. What happens if we refuse? Asked the president of France. They send their fleet, Daniel said. They take what they want by force. According to the Grand Arbiter, no species has ever successfully refused. They have thousands of warships. They have weapons we cannot even imagine. They have been running this system for 11,000 years. Then we have no choice, said the Prime Minister of Japan. We must accept their terms. We must protect our people. Protect them? The voice came from the back of the room. Admiral Lisa Morgan stepped forward. She was a tall woman with short dark hair and eyes like steel. She had commanded Earth's first interstellar warship and had led the fleet that defended the colony on New Manila from pirates. When she spoke, people listened. "With respect, Prime Minister," Lisa said, "accepting their terms will not protect our people. It will destroy them. Slowly, quietly, over generations, but it will destroy them all the same." She walked to the main display and brought up a series of charts and images. "My team has been studying the species that pay tribute to the Council," Lisa continued. "The pattern is always the same. First, they take your resources. Your economy becomes dependent on Council trade. Then they take your workers. Your and strongest go to serve on distant stations, never to return. Within a few generations, your technology stagnates. Your population declines. Your culture fades. You become a shadow of what you once were." She showed images of alien worlds, cities that had crumbled, populations that had shrunk to a fraction of their former size, species that had once built great civilizations now reduced to servants and laborers. "This is what tribute means," Lisa said. "This is what they are offering us, not protection, extinction, just slow enough that you do not realize it is happening until it is too late." The room was silent. Kate, Earth's chief military strategist, stood up. She was a small woman with gray hair and glasses, but her mind was sharper than any blade. "There is something else you should know," Kate said. "For the past 30 years, Earth has been preparing for this possibility. We always knew that one day we might encounter a hostile power in space. We hoped it would not happen, but we prepared anyway." She brought up new images on the display. Orbital platforms hidden among asteroids, weapons systems disguised as mining equipment, a network of stealth ships that could strike without warning. "The Council thinks we are children," Kate said. "They think we have nothing but a few patrol ships and some orbital stations. They are wrong. We have been building in secret, hiding our true capabilities. If they come for us, they will find that humanity has teeth." The debate continued for hours. Some argued that fighting was madness. The Council had thousands of ships. Earth had maybe 200. The numbers were impossible. But others pointed to history. Humanity had always faced impossible odds. The ancient Greeks at Thermopylae, the British at Dunkirk, the defenders of Stalingrad. Time and time again, humans had stood against forces that should have crushed them. And time again, they had refused to break. Finally, Sam Mitchell called for a vote. "The question before us is simple," he said. "Do we accept the Council's demands? Do we pay tribute and pray that they treat us kindly? Or do we refuse? Do we stand up and tell them that humanity will not bow?" The votes came in one by one, nation after nation, leader after leader. The result was not even close. 193 nations voted to refuse tribute. 7 voted to accept. The decision was made. Sam Mitchell turned to Daniel. "You are our voice to the Council," Sam said. "What do you recommend we tell them?" Daniel thought for a long moment. He thought about the Grand Arbiter's glowing eyes. He thought about Counselor's eager smile. He thought about all the species who had bowed before the Council and been slowly destroyed. "We give them a warning," Daniel said. "One warning. We tell them exactly what will happen if they try to take from us. We make sure they understand that we are not like the others, and then we let them choose." "And if they choose wrong?" Lisa asked. Daniel looked at her. There was no fear in his eyes, only certainty. "Then we show them why they should have listened." Sam nodded slowly. "Very well. Ambassador Carter, Admiral Morgan, you will return to Nexus Prime. You will deliver humanity's response, and you will make sure they understand that this is not a bluff." Lisa smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "They will understand," she said, "one way or another." The assembly ended. The leaders of Earth returned to their nations to prepare for whatever came next. Some prayed, some planned, some simply held their families close and hoped. But across the planet something else was happening. Word had spread, not the details but the feeling. Something was coming, something big, and humanity was going to face it together. In factories and shipyards, workers pushed harder. In laboratories and research centers, scientists worked through the night. In military bases around the world, soldiers trained with new determination. Nobody knew exactly what was coming, but everybody knew one thing. Humanity would not kneel. The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace 300 kilometers from Nexus Prime. It was not the largest ship in the human fleet, but it was the most advanced. Its hull was black as midnight, designed to absorb sensor scans. Its weapons were hidden beneath panels that looked like ordinary plating. To the casual observer, it appeared to be nothing more than a diplomatic transport. Admiral Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge, watching the massive station grow larger on the Nexus Prime was shaped like a wheel, spinning slowly in the darkness between stars. Thousands of ships surrounded it, warships from a dozen different species, trading vessels from 100 more. It was the heart of the Galactic Council, and it had never been challenged. Until now. "Ambassador Carter to the bridge," Lisa said. Daniel arrived a few minutes later. He had changed into his formal diplomatic uniform, but his face was calm, almost peaceful, like a man who had made his decision and was ready to live with the consequences. "Are you ready?" Lisa asked. Daniel nodded. "I have been thinking about what to say for 3 days. I have written a dozen different speeches, but in the end the message is simple. They need to hear it clearly." "They will," Lisa said. "I have made sure of that." The shuttle bay doors opened, and Daniel boarded a small transport ship. Lisa watched it leave, then turned to her communications officer. "Chris, open a channel to the station. Let them know we are here." Chris Palmer was young, barely 30, with nervous hands and quick eyes. But he was the best communications officer in the fleet, and Lisa trusted him completely. "Channel open, Admiral," Chris said. "They are surprised. They did not expect us to come back." "Good," Lisa said. "Let them wonder why." Daniel's shuttle docked at Nexus Prime, and he was escorted through the winding corridors to the council chamber. The same spiral of seats, the same 42 species watching, the same grand arbiter looking down from above. But something was different this time. There was tension in the air, uncertainty. The council had expected Earth to send a message of surrender. Instead, they had sent their ambassador on a warship. Ambassador Carter said, "You have returned. I assume you bring humanity's acceptance of our terms." Daniel walked to the center platform. He stood straight and still, his hands at his sides. When he spoke, his voice was calm and clear. "I bring humanity's response," Daniel said, "but it is not what you expect." Leaned forward slightly, his glowing eyes narrowed. "Explain." Daniel took a deep breath. He had practiced these words 100 times. Now he spoke them for the first and only time that would matter. "Humanity does not pay tribute," Daniel said. "We do not offer our resources as payment for protection we did not ask for. We do not offer our people as servants for masters we did not choose. We do not bow to those who threaten us with destruction if we refuse to kneel." A ripple of shock passed through the chamber. Several alien representatives leaned forward, unable to believe what they were hearing. "This is your response?" asked. His voice was cold as ice. "Defiance." "This is our warning," Daniel said. "One warning. The only warning you will receive. Withdraw your demands. Leave humanity alone. Let us live in peace, and we will be peaceful neighbors. But if you send your fleets to take from us by force, if you try to enslave our people or strip our worlds, you will learn something about humans that you have not yet understood." "And what is that?" asked. Daniel's eyes were steady. His voice did not waver. "Humans learn to fight before we learn to speak. War is in our blood. It is in our bones. We have been killing each other for 100,000 years. We have invented more ways to destroy than any species you have ever encountered. We stopped fighting each other because we chose to, because we decided there was a better way. But do not mistake our choice for weakness. Do not mistake our peace for inability." He paused, letting the words sink in. "If you come for us, we will not run. We will not hide. We will not surrender. We will fight with everything we have, and we will make you pay for every inch of ground you take. And even if you destroy us, even if you burn our worlds and scatter our people, you will never forget the cost. You will tell stories about us for 1,000 years. You will warn your children about the species that would not bow." The chamber was silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Counselor broke the silence. His scales flushed red with anger. "This is madness," he shouted. "This is a species of primitives threatening the greatest power in the galaxy. They should be crushed for their arrogance." "Peace," Counselor said, but his eyes never left Daniel. "Ambassador Carter, you speak of fighting, you speak of war, but you have seen our fleet. You know our numbers. What makes you think you can stand against us?" Daniel smiled. It was a small smile, but there was something dangerous in it. "You have studied our world," he said. "You have counted our ships. You have measured our weapons, but you have not studied our history. You do not know what humans can do when we are pushed into a corner. You do not know what we are capable of when our survival is at stake." He turned and began to walk toward the exit. "Wait," called. "Is this truly your final answer? You understand that if you leave without accepting our terms, we will have no choice but to respond with force." Daniel stopped. He looked back over his shoulder. "I understand perfectly," he said. "The question is whether you understand. You have heard our warning. You have one chance to withdraw. What happens next is your choice, not ours." He walked out of the chamber. Behind him, he could hear voices rising, arguments erupting, Counselor demanding immediate military action, other voices urging caution. But Daniel did not look back. He had said what needed to be said. The rest was up to the council. When he reached the shuttle, Lisa was waiting on the. "How did it go?" she asked. "As expected," Daniel said. "They did not believe me. They think we are bluffing. Then they are going to learn the hard way." "Yes," Daniel said, "they are." The shuttle launched from Nexus Prime. As it flew back toward the Defiance, Daniel watched the massive station shrinking in the distance. Somewhere in that station, the leaders of 42 species were deciding whether to accept humanity's warning or test humanity's resolve. He knew which choice they would make. Beings who had ruled unchallenged for 11,000 years did not respond to warnings. They responded to force. But that was fine. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for 30 years. Now they would show the galaxy what humans could do. The Council fleet arrived exactly 14 days after Daniel delivered his warning. 200 warships from 6 different species, led by a massive dreadnought called the Hammer of Order. They dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, their weapons charged and their crews ready for an easy victory. Admiral Lisa Morgan watched them arrive from the bridge of the Defiance. The ship was positioned behind Mars, hidden from enemy sensors by the planet's mass. Around her, the rest of Earth's visible fleet waited in formation. 47 ships against 200. The numbers looked impossible. But Lisa was smiling. "Chris," she said, "what is their fleet commander broadcasting?" Chris Palmer adjusted his controls. The voice of the Council fleet commander filled the bridge. He was the same species as Counselor, and his tone was thick with contempt. "Humans of Earth," the commander said, "I am Fleet Master of the Galactic Council. You have been given the opportunity to submit peacefully and you have refused. Now you will learn the price of defiance. Surrender your ships. Surrender your world. Accept the tribute demands and we will show mercy. Resist and we will burn your civilization to ash." Lisa leaned back in her chair. "That is quite a speech." "Standard intimidation," said Kate. She had come aboard the Defiance to observe the battle firsthand. Her tablet was full of tactical data, but her eyes were fixed on the. "They expect us to panic, to beg for mercy. Then they are going to be disappointed." Lisa pressed a button on her chair. All ships, this is Admiral Morgan. Begin Operation Awakening. Show them what humanity has been building. Across the solar system, things began to change. Asteroids that had drifted silently for decades suddenly came alive. Panels slid open, revealing weapon platforms hidden beneath tons of rock and ice. Mining stations that had seemed abandoned powered up, their true purpose finally revealed. And from the shadows behind planets and moons, ships appeared. Not the outdated patrol vessels the Council had seen in their assessments, but sleek, deadly warships that had been built in secret shipyards on the dark side of the moon. Chris watched his sensors light up with new contacts. "Admiral, we now have 132 combat vessels in position, plus 47 orbital platforms, plus the asteroid batteries." The Council fleet had stopped advancing. Lisa could imagine their confusion. Their sensors had told them Earth had maybe 50 ships. Now they were facing nearly 3 times that number, plus fixed defenses they had never suspected existed. "Open a channel to their fleet commander," Lisa said. "Channel open." Lisa stood up. When she spoke, her voice was calm but firm. "Fleet Master, I am Admiral Lisa Morgan of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered our solar system with hostile intent. You have threatened our world and our people. I am giving you one chance to withdraw. Turn your ships around. Leave our space. Tell your council that humanity meant every word of our warning. Do this, and no one needs to die today." There was a long pause. Then's voice came back, sharp with anger. "You think your hidden toys change anything? We have crushed species with far greater numbers than yours. We have weapons you cannot imagine. Your little surprise means nothing. Surrender now or face destruction." Lisa sighed. "I tried, remember that." She cut the channel and turned to her tactical officer. "Fire at will." The Battle of Sol began. The first wave of missiles launched from the asteroid platforms. They were not standard weapons. Earth scientists had spent decades developing them in secret, using principles that the Council species had never explored. The missiles did not just explode. They created cascading energy fields that tore through shields like paper. 3 Council warships died in the first 30 seconds. Screamed orders at his fleet. The Council ships returned fire, their weapons reaching across the void toward Earth's defenders. But the human ships were faster than expected, their movements unpredictable, their tactics unlike anything the Council had seen before. The Defiance led the attack. Lisa guided her ship through the chaos, her crew working in perfect coordination. Chris tracked enemy movements and called out warnings. The weapons officers fired with deadly precision. The engineers kept the shields up and the engines running. "Enemy dreadnought is targeting us," Chris said. "The hammer of order is charging its main weapon." "Evasive pattern Delta," Lisa ordered, "and signal the stealth squadron. Time for them to earn their pay." From behind a nearby moon, 12 ships appeared. They were small and black, almost invisible against the darkness of space. The Council sensors never saw them coming until they were already inside the dreadnought's shield envelope. The stealth ships attached themselves to the hammer of order like parasites. Then they detonated. The explosion tore through the massive ship. Its shields collapsed. Its weapons went dark. Secondary explosions rippled through its hull as its power systems failed. The greatest warship in the Council fleet reduced to a drifting wreck in moments. The Council formation broke. Ships scattered, trying to escape the unexpected fury of Earth's defenders. But there was nowhere to run. The human fleet was everywhere, striking from angles the Council commanders never expected. In 40 minutes, the Council lost 40 ships. 40 more were damaged. The rest were in full retreat. Lisa opened a channel to the fleeing fleet. "This is Admiral Morgan. You came to our home with threats and demands. You told us to kneel. You told us to surrender our people and our future. We gave you one warning and you ignored it. Now you have seen what happens when you threaten humanity." She paused, letting the words sink in. Go back to your council. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that Earth is not a world to be conquered. We are not a species to be enslaved. And if anyone else wants to test our resolve, they are welcome to try. We will be waiting." She cut the channel. The bridge was quiet. Outside, the last of the council ships were limping toward the edge of the solar system, desperate to escape before the humans decided to finish them off. Kate broke the silence. "We did it. We actually did it." Lisa nodded slowly. The weight of what had just happened was only beginning to sink in. Humanity had faced the might of the Galactic Council and won. Nothing would ever be the same. "This is not the end," Lisa said. "The Council will not accept this defeat easily. They will come back. They will try again." "Let them come," Kate said. "Now they know we are not bluffing. Now they know what we can do." Lisa looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the survivors of the Council fleet were carrying news of their defeat back to Nexus Prime. The story would spread across the galaxy. The species that refused to bow. The species that fought back and won. "Get me a channel to Earth," Lisa said. "The Secretary General will want to know that the warning was delivered." Chris smiled. "I think he already knows, Admiral. Look." On the Earth was visible in the distance, and across its night side lights were flickering, cities celebrating, people cheering, a world united in victory. Humanity had spoken, and the galaxy had finally listened. 2 weeks after the battle, Daniel Carter returned to Nexus Prime. This time, there was no shuttle. He arrived aboard the Defiance itself, flanked by a squadron of Earth's most advanced warships. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer asking for permission. The council chamber looked different now. The seats were still arranged in their spiral pattern, and the 42 species were still present. But the atmosphere had changed. The arrogance was gone. The certainty was gone. In its place was something Daniel had never expected to see in the eyes of beings who had ruled the galaxy for 11,000 years. Fear. Grand Arbiter sat in his high seat, his glowing eyes fixed on Daniel as he walked to the center platform. The chamber was silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Ambassador Carter said. His voice was quiet, almost respectful. "You have returned." "I have," Daniel said. "You sent 200 ships to take our world. 40 of them are gone. 60 more will never fly again. The rest ran home with stories of what they saw. I thought it was time we talked again." Nodded slowly. "The Council has discussed the situation. We have reconsidered our position regarding humanity." "I expected you might." Counselor stood up from his seat. His scales were pale and his golden eyes would not meet Daniel's gaze. "The Council withdraws its tribute demands," he said. The words seemed to cause him physical pain. "Humanity will not be required to provide resources or workers. The assessment has been cancelled." "That is a good start," Daniel said, "but not enough." Leaned forward. "What more do you want?" "Nothing for ourselves," Daniel said. "But I have been thinking about the other species in this chamber. The ones who paid tribute because they had no choice. The ones who watched their civilizations slowly die while the Council grew fat on their labor." He turned in a slow circle, looking at each representative in turn. He saw the silver-scaled creature who had warned him with a shake of its head. He saw others who had looked away in shame when the tribute demands were first announced. All of them were watching him now with something like hope in their eyes. "Humanity does not want to rule the galaxy," Daniel said. "We do not want to replace one form of tyranny with another, but we are willing to stand with any species that wants to be free. Any world that wants to end the tribute system can count on Earth as an ally." The chamber erupted. Voices shouted in a dozen languages. Some were angry, some were excited. Some were terrified of what this could mean. Raised his hand, and slowly the noise died down. "You are offering to support rebellion against the Council," he said. "This is an act of war." "No," Daniel said. "This is an act of liberation. Your system has survived because the weak had no one to stand with them, because every species faced the choice between submission and destruction alone, but they are not alone anymore. Humanity has proven that the Council can be defeated. Now others will see that they can fight back too. You would destroy the Galactic Order. The Galactic Order is slavery dressed up in fancy words, Daniel said. Peace maintained through fear. Stability built on exploitation. It deserves to be destroyed. Was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was tired, almost sad. We built this system to prevent chaos. 11,000 years ago, the galaxy was torn apart by wars that killed trillions. The tribute system brought peace. It brought order. Yes, some species suffered, but the alternative was worse. Maybe it was, Daniel said. Maybe your intentions were good at the start, but good intentions do not justify 11,000 years of oppression. You had the power to protect without enslaving. You had the choice to lead without crushing. You chose the easy path, and billions suffered because of it. He shook his head. That time is over. Humanity is offering something new, not an empire, not a council that demands obedience, just an alliance of free species standing together, protecting each other without taking from each other. A different way forward. The silver-scaled creature rose from its seat. Daniel had learned that its name was Ambassador, and its species, had been paying tribute for 6,000 years. My people have dreamed of freedom for generations, said. We accepted tribute because we believed there was no other choice, but the humans have shown us another way. I speak for when I say that we will stand with Earth. One by one, other representatives stood. Not all of them, not even most of them, but enough. A dozen species, then 2 dozen, rising from their seats to declare their support for humanity's alliance. Watched in silence. When the declarations finally stopped, nearly half the chamber had risen. You see, Daniel said, the tribute system is already falling apart. You can fight to preserve it, but you will lose. Or you can accept that the galaxy is changing and change with it. The choice is yours. Closed his glowing eyes. For a moment, he looked every one of his thousands of years old. The Council will consider your proposal, he said at last, but I suspect you already know what our answer will be. I do, Daniel said. Some of you will fight, some of you will join us, and some of you will simply stand aside and watch which way the wind blows. It does not matter. The change has already begun. He turned and walked out of the chamber. This time, he was not alone. Ambassador walked beside him, and behind them came the representatives of more than 20 species, all of them taking their first steps toward freedom. When Daniel reached the Defiance, Admiral Lisa Morgan was waiting in the shuttle bay. How did it go? She asked. Better than I expected, Daniel said. We have allies, a lot of them. Lisa smiled. Then the hard work begins. Yes, Daniel agreed. Building something new is always harder than tearing something down, but I think we are ready for it. They walked together to the bridge, where Secretary General Sam Mitchell was waiting on the. His face showed the strain of the past few weeks, but his eyes were bright with hope. Ambassador Carter, Sam said, what happens now? Daniel looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, billions of beings were waking up to a new reality. The galaxy they had known their whole lives was changing. The order that had seemed eternal was crumbling, and in its place, something new was being born. Now we show them who we are, Daniel said. Not conquerors, not tyrants, just humans. Stubborn, determined, impossible humans who refuse to kneel and change the galaxy because of it. He paused, and when he spoke again, his voice was filled with quiet pride. They gave us a choice between submission and destruction. We chose a third option. We chose to fight. We chose to win, and now we will help others make the same choice. Sam nodded slowly. And the Council, the ones who refuse to change. Daniel smiled. They will learn. One way or another, they will learn that humanity keeps its promises. We gave them one warning. They did not listen. Now they know what we are capable of, and they will never forget. Outside the stars stretched on forever. A galaxy of 10 billion worlds, countless species, infinite possibilities. And somewhere among all those stars, the story of the humans who refused to bow was spreading, inspiring others, changing everything. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had intended.